Story 1. The wife was sensitive to fluorescent light bulbs, but the husband insisted on using them to save the environment. He would replace the incandescent bulbs while she was asleep multiple times. She grew tired of it and filed for divorce. Story 2. She went to see a fortune teller for fun. She was told that he is not the one she would be with in her future. So, she broke up with him the next day. Story 3. A couple of years ago, I was at a restaurant, and the couple next to us were arguing. The lady was upset with the man because he wouldn't buy her the newest BMW that had come out that year. The man started listing all the luxurious things he had recently bought her, including the ring on her finger, and called her an ungrateful brat. She got up, slapped him, and stormed out crying. I always wonder if they made it to the altar. Story 4. Divorce. He was in the delivery room while she was giving birth to their first baby. After that, he was repulsed by her whenever he saw her. She mentioned that he didn't even sleep in the same bed with her anymore, so she filed for divorce. Story 5. 5-year marriage, never consummated. The wife refused to do anything or seek help to resolve the issue. The only justification given was that she couldn't. She didn't seem to understand the significance of the situation. As one informed that the marriage would be terminated, she told others she didn't know why her husband would want a divorce. I was the husband. Sometimes, in hindsight, it doesn't even feel real. Sounds like a bad romance novel plot, but it was all too real. Story 6. About 15 years ago, a coworker's wife came into a hardware store where I worked and got into an argument with him. He shouted that he doesn't think his daughter is his because her breasts are not as large as those of his sister and mother, who were closer to his wife's size. Story 7. He bought lottery tickets every week, spending between $20 and $25. She left him after he spent $100 a month on lottery tickets. Story 8. Hurricane Katrina was a devastating event. The wife was a medical first responder for a hospital, while the husband was not. As the seriousness of the storm became clear, they decided that the husband would evacuate with their cat and stay just north of the city with family. The wife was stuck in the city for over a week, facing unimaginable conditions. She eventually managed to escape. Her husband claimed that the cat ran away from the family member's home, though she could not recall the exact reason he provided. It was only while they were gutting their home that the wife learned the truth. The husband had forgotten the cat and left it behind. The home had been flooded with several feet of water and debris. They discovered what remained of the cat's body in the house. She filed for divorce immediately, and I completely understand her decision. It is an incredibly shocking reason. In summary, a first responder wife divorces her husband after he left their cat to drown at home during Hurricane Katrina. Story 9. I recall hearing a story on Reddit. I think it was about a man named Kevin, where a stepfather wanted to divorce his wife if she didn't make her child from a previous marriage biologically his. He did not mean that she should let him adopt the child. The father truly believed that you could change a child's genetics to make them his own. Story 10. There was a disagreement about whether they were called chickpeas or garbanzo beans. Neither party could believe that both were names for the same thing, so they ended their relationship. Story 11. A girlfriend was looking through my CD case and found some KMFDM CDs. She had a complete breakdown and I was completely baffled. She thought KMFDM stood for Kill Mother F*** Angie Depeche Mode. Apparently, Depeche Mode helped her through some hard times, and she loved their music. I told her that probably wasn't true, and if it stood for anything, it was likely something in German since they were a German band, but the damage was done. Story 12. A coworker said she caught her husband in bed with another man soon after they moved to a new city. She didn't even pack a bag. She just flew back, lived with her sister, and bought all new belongings, not wanting anything sent to her. Story 13. I just read a post on Reddit about a woman asking for help because her partner has been influenced by certain behaviors and has decided he won't take care of himself anymore. She is so concerned that she is considering divorce. Story 14. I read a post about a man who left his wife because she breastfed their newborn son. He couldn't stand the idea that another man had touched her breasts. This behavior was abusive and unacceptable in many ways. I'm glad she was able to leave. Story 15. I slept with another guy because I lack a sense of security from you. It is your fault for forcing me to sleep with him. Story 16. Two sets of next-door neighbors generated rumors about a possible affair between the wife of one couple and the husband of the other. The wife of the alleged cheating husband took her own life. Soon afterward, the husband of the alleged cheating wife divorced her. And as I helped him pack his moving truck, he revealed that he found abortion pills in his wife's purse. Story 17. The wife had chronic dry eye, which made her contact lenses uncomfortable. Her husband could not accept that her eyes were different colors. Story 18. I saw a story about a woman whose husband left her because she had a breast reduction surgery on her large breasts, which were causing her discomfort. The man packed his things while she was undergoing surgery without informing her that he was leaving. Story 19. One of my best friends from high school got a divorce after discovering that his wife was sharing their relationship problems on Reddit. She should have asked for permission first. Story 20. At a Bob Dylan concert Mark Knopfler was opening. Halfway through Knopfler's set, the couple next to me started arguing. The man was screaming at her, calling her a derogatory term because she was making eyes at the bassist. Finally, he stormed off slowly, as the crowd was so thick. I asked her if she was all right, and she said, "Yeah, he's a jerk." And she seemed to enjoy the rest of the gig. Story 21. I heard a story on social media that I found quite surprising. A woman from my country married an Egyptian man and converted to Islam. After moving to Egypt, she ate something that made her feel unwell. She texted her doctor back home for advice on local medication. When her husband discovered this, he divorced her. Story 22. It was to ensure a woman could receive the urgent care she needed for her illness. It was an insurance loophole to save her life. Story 23. When I was in college, a girl I was dating told me she felt that the Holy Spirit had told her we needed to break up. Yes, she was a Mormon. Story 24. 1. The husband went to the brothel the night of the wedding. He lied and said he was going to buy more beer. At a wedding I attended, the bride changed her mind and did not want to get out of the car at the church. The priest convinced her to, but she spent the day crying, not happy tears. Shortly after, they had their marriage annulled. We sensed something was wrong that day because of the bride's tears and the mother-in-law's heated discussion on the dance floor. The poor bride looked miserable. Story 25. There was a story on Reddit about a woman divorcing her husband because he would close the lids of their jars too tightly, and she could never get them open. Story 26. One person wanted a child while the other did not, and they were aware of this issue long before marriage. The man must have been overwhelmed by desire and lost his rational thinking. Whatever happened is perplexing to me. Story 27. I broke up with a girlfriend once because she told me her favorite Star Wars character was Jar Jar Binks. Story 28. My ex-fiancée ended our relationship because I stopped wearing graphic t-shirts for my job, although I continued to wear plain t-shirts. I sold my 2007 Mustang GT to pay off debt and replaced it with a free Toyota Matrix that my parents were getting rid of. These changes made me seem less sexy or cool. Ironically, I still owned a 1973 Mustang Mach 1, which I believe is far cooler than the GT. Ultimately, I married someone who is a much better fit for me, and now that X is simply a series of funny stories I share with others. Story 29. I broke up with my boyfriend after meeting his mother and realizing she had a genetic defect. I argued with myself about it, but I was very young. He was older and constantly talked about getting me pregnant and married. I was 14 and he was 17. I didn't break up immediately because I really liked him, but the last straw was when his parents, his mother and stepfather, followed us back from the lake. His stepfather had told him not to drive recklessly, and he had just bought his own car. Halfway home, his stepfather started laying on the horn, driving irrationally, coming next to him, flipping him off and alternating between getting behind or beside us again, rolling down the passenger window and screaming at him, flashing their lights, getting back in front and slamming on the brakes, all while going 70 miles per hour on the highway. Finally, he started motioning for him to pull over. By this time, I was scared to death, and we had no idea what was going on. So he pulled over to the side of the highway, got out because his stepfather was motioning for him to come back, and his stepfather was coming toward him. We had talked before pulling over. Was there a flat tire, or who knows? Without a word, his stepfather punched him as hard as he could. The man was at least triple my ex's weight and taller. He was screaming at him, kicking him, hitting him, and telling him to get up, only to hit him again. My ex didn't even attempt to fight back or cover up, so I realized this wasn't rare or new. His mother also got out, screaming at him. Why? Oh, because he was driving the speed limit. After being told not to drive crazily, he was angry because he wasn't driving fast enough. He got back in with blood everywhere, and I told him to call the police. He said he couldn't. I went home and called Child Protective Services because there were other things that really bothered me about his younger siblings. They weren't allowed to have doors or use the restroom or shower privately, among other issues. I made a report, and a week later, his mother came to my house screaming at me, assuming I had called or had my mom call. So I broke up with him. I was scared of becoming pregnant due to her unusually small thumbs, the size of a baby's. Story 30. A friend of my father-in-law was speeding with his wife and her parents in the car. He crashed, resulting in the tragic deaths of both her parents. The marriage did not last long after that, and my in-laws refused to ride with me while I am driving. Story 31. I had a friend who served in the military. He was on active duty for 2 years and spent time overseas in Germany for training. When he returned home from deployment, he discovered that his wife had been cheating on him for 6 months with a man from their neighborhood. Strangely enough, he was willing to overlook her affair while he was away, but she was the one who filed for divorce. However, there is a silver lining. The judge reviewed the case and, due to her unfaithfulness, she received nothing from him. Story 32. This is not a joke. This really happened to me. My now ex-husband said to me when he told me he wanted a divorce, "When I walked into the kitchen and saw you drinking a caramel latte, I knew you would never change." He wanted me to lose weight, but I wasn't doing it fast enough. Story 33. We have to break up because you're swearing too much. I am a woman and she is also a woman. She never said she didn't like it or asked me to swear less. She just found a reason. Story 34. Best friend. She's crazy. You have no idea what I go through. She's a completely different person when it's just the two of us. We all knew who the crazy person was. Story 35. My husband told me his ex broke up with him because of how he used to squeeze the toothpaste tube. I thought that was amusing. Story 36. The court paperwork stated that Mickey was divorcing Minnie for being silly. However, it turns out she was actually involved with Goofy. Story 37. One time, I broke up with a guy because we went to the gym together for the first time. He loaded a lot of weight and started quarter squatting. Story 38. My uncle divorced his first wife to marry her younger sister, with whom he had an affair. Story 39. Divorce occurred because the wife asked the mother-in-law to stay out of a lover's quarrel, which was not her business. The mother-in-law was offended, cried, and informed her son, leading to a downhill situation from that point. Story 40. He is married and has 4 children. His first child is from a previous relationship, and he was paying child support for that child. After his 4th child, he underwent a vasectomy. His wife began urging him to resolve the child support payments with his ex, as those payments had suddenly increased when his income decreased. However, the increase in payments was not for his first child, but rather for a 5th child. Despite the vasectomy, he still managed to get another woman pregnant, and she is now claiming child support. Story 41. An acquaintance from my army days divorced her husband because he could not stop buying collectible action figures. He was hiding a full-blown addiction from her, which ultimately bankrupted them. He had amassed a collection worth $150,000 that he attempted to conceal from her. Story 42. My friend's ex broke up with her because he had a dream that she cheated on him. He said he couldn't look at her the same after that. He was fighting battles in his sleep. Story 43. My ex broke up with me because I was the first person she had sex with. Her mother advised her that she couldn't settle for her first and needed to have experiences with more people. The surprising thing is that her family loved me and we were happy together. In hindsight, I realize I dodged a bullet. She now drinks excessively and changes jobs every 3 months. Story 44. I just saw another post here on Reddit about a woman considering divorcing her husband because he believes it makes him an alpha male to not wipe after using the restroom. Story 45. I had a friend who bragged about how sweet her new boyfriend was and casually added, "Too bad I have to break up with him. I can't be seen with a haircut like that." Story 46. Earlier today, there was a post from a woman asking if she should divorce her husband because, as an alpha male, he has decided he no longer needs to maintain personal hygiene. Story 47. Earlier today on Reddit, someone claimed it made him an alpha male if he didn't wipe after using the bathroom. His wife posted on Reddit, expressing her confusion about what to do. This is disgusting. Story 48. I saw a few years ago on Reddit a couple arguing in the bathroom one morning. The wife pulled out a tampon and threw it at her husband, hitting him in the face. Papers were served shortly after. Story 49. My best friend's sister's husband told her, "I'm just not satisfied. I need my wife with me. I can't keep coming home to no one," and mentioned not seeing himself living in California. First of all, she came to California with her family to assist with his visa to visit without problems, not for them to live there, because she left her entire life to move to Mexico for him. It makes me so mad because it's obvious he was with other women while claiming he can't satisfy himself alone. This also happened on Christmas. Story 50. I broke up with a girl because she didn't like the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. I took her to the theater to see it, and afterwards she said she just didn't understand how someone could like a movie like that. That turned out to be my last straw. If she felt that way, we didn't have anything to offer each other. Story 51. I ended my relationship with someone because we had anal intercourse, and it resulted in a mess. It was unpleasant, and I felt the need to end things immediately. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.